Welcome to this complimentary AWS Marketplace video tutorial by Cybrary.
In this preview, we will cover a brief demonstration of Trend Micro Cloud One Conformity. This solution provides continuous security, compliance, and governance in a software-as-a-service platform. Conformity has the most comprehensive set of AWS controls with its depth and breadth of AWS rules, ensuring your critical systems and data are compliant, reliable, and optimized at all times. It provides real-time threat monitoring and actionable insights with clear remediation steps, underpinned by AWS best practices for immediate resolution. It offers proactive prevention and automation from the build pipeline to runtime, with over 640 rules and checks against well-architected pillars and compliance standards, as well as experienced seamless integration into existing workflows and communication channels. Conformity is available on AWS Marketplace. This service is typically procured through a Marketplace via private offer in order to obtain preferred pricing. Contact Trend Micro by filling out the form on this landing page. Let's take a look at the Conformity application. After subscribing and logging in, you will see a listing of your accounts on the left side. You can also see your compliance score. This is calculated by the number of checks running against your environment multiplied by the number of passes or failures within your environment. You see a number of checks running because the checks run against every instance that's tied to your account. Let's take a deeper look into the main dashboard. As we scroll down, you see a compliance level comparison. This comparison lists your accounts as well as the overall compliance of those accounts within the Amazon Web Services well-architected framework. Here, you will see there are 5 pillars of the well-architected framework, starting with security and ending with performance and efficiency. Each account is given a score in its level of compliance within that particular pillar of the well-architected framework. If you continue scrolling down the page, you will see the Threat Monitoring Dashboard. You will see the Open Activity Dashboard button and the Open Monitoring Dashboard button. Each of these buttons gives a report tied to the various elements of threat monitoring that are available within your account. If you select the User Activity button, you see a list of the users that have logged into the environment within the last 3 months. If you go back and select the Event Monitoring Dashboard, you can see a list of events that have occurred within the account and the environment within the last 3 months. You can view detailed information on each event by clicking on the Event Details button. To navigate out of any menu within the Conformity application, simply click to the left of the view that you are in and you will be brought back to the main screen. If you scroll down the dashboard page further, you will see the Compliance Status view. Again, these map directly back to the 5 pillars of the well-architected framework and give a compliance score tied to each pillar. You do have the opportunity to improve each score based on the particular pillar that score is tied to. In this example, if you want to improve your security pillar compliance, you can select the Improved button and be brought to a filter view that gives you a list of all the checks that have run that are tied to the Security Compliance Framework pillar. If you continue scrolling down the main page, you see the Compliance Level Evolution chart. Again, this ties directly back to the 5 pillars of the well-architected framework. Here, let's examine the security pillar. You notice that this instance is relatively unchanged. You would want to see a more spiked or positive improvement in this chart in your production environment. If you scroll further down the page, you will see a map that showcases the status per AWS region. This means if you have accounts or instances in that region, the Conformity application will alert on the most critical findings by region. If you wish to investigate the status of those accounts and those instances within that region, you can simply click on the radio button and see what's happening within that region. You're also given the opportunity to improve the compliance of that region by simply clicking the Improve button. The last report visible here on the dashboard is the Most Critical Failures report. This report lists the highest severity risk level findings within your environment. You can get a quick and immediate listing of the most critical instances of the checks that have run that you should pay attention to. In this instance, we see the top rules both tied to S3 bucket with public access. If you maximize the rule, you can see which instances are failing as well as do some configuration of these checks. We'll take a deeper dive into these checks, the resolution, and the configuration shortly. Now let's take a look at a specific account within this AWS environment. When we maximize the AWS accounts group, you're given the option to look at all the accounts under that group. Let's select the master account. You notice that the dashboard view is similar to what you've seen before. However, this dashboard is only showing data from the master account and not all of the accounts. The number one function here is the Browse All Checks button. When you select the button, you're given the view that showcases all of the checks that have run against the master account. You can filter down by a particular view. In this instance, I would like to see all of the failures in this account, which return over 600 checks. In addition, though, I would like to see all of the failures that are characterized as high or above. I'm going to uncheck the medium as well as the low radio checkboxes. In doing so, I'm returned with 10 filter checks. If you scroll all the way up, you're able to see all of the filter checks that have been enacted for this view. If you scroll down the page again, you're presented with 10 findings. You can expand each finding and see the resource it's tied to. Let's take a look at some of the functionality with each check and each finding. You have the option to send the rule to another administrator within the Conformity application. This is done if the resource is something not in control of or for change control reasons. You can also configure this rule. In this example, we're looking at an S3 bucket with default encryption not enabled. This S3 bucket could be part of our public website, and I would tag it that way. In this instance, I wouldn't want the public website to be encrypted, and thus I would want to add an exception here. With the tagging feature, you are able to create exceptions to a rule, as well as add notes to why that exception is being created. Additionally, you can change the severity of the finding. For example, this may not be a high finding to you, but rather an extreme finding. The ability to modify that finding is important for the uniqueness of your environment. You can also suppress the rule and would normally only do this if you feel as though the rule is a false positive, and you must create a note with each suppression that you create. This allows for auditing and review of the reason that this rule was suppressed. The foremost functionality that's available here is the resolution button. Let's select the button, and you can see it brings you to the Conformity website, to the rule or the finding that is tied to the S3 bucket default encryption. There are 3 things that you should note here. First, a high-level overview of the finding, as well as the pillar that is tied to. Secondly, a definition of what the finding means and why it's important for you to pay attention to. Lastly, a set of steps. These steps are both performed in the AWS console or command line interface and give a detailed list of how to audit and resolve the finding. Now let's take a look at what is arguably one of the most valuable features, the Compliance Standard and Framework view. Here, you're able to select a specific compliance standard to audit against. In this instance, perhaps PCI is of importance to you. Deselect all the frameworks and just select PCI. You'll notice in the breadcrumbs trail above that we see PCI DSS, high, very high, and extreme level of findings, as well as all of those that are failures. You can see that 5 results have been returned. Generating a report off of this information would be quite valuable to auditors as well as leadership, in addition to the cloud security architects and DevOps teams. In addition to the radio button view of compliance, there's also a tab that allows you to view by the standard or framework. In this instance, I'm able to view or click on the standard or framework radio button and get results tied to this account. These results are tied specifically back to the controls of that standard. Here, you can see the control standard as well as the results of failures tied to that standard. This instantly gives any audit compliance or review an insight tied to this framework, as it relates back to the specific controls of the framework. If you go back to the filter checks, you are also able to search by service, resource type, region, or rule. So for this example, I'd like to search for rules and checks tied to the S3 service. I now see the breadcrumb trail at the top as having been updated with my search parameter. If we scroll down, you can see only 2 filtered checks have been returned. This makes this view highly valuable for a specific targeted search that can be done for hunting or finding compliance within a particular service in your environment. Let's return to the main dashboard. If you look at the top, you see a feature called Profile. Profiles are a bundle of rules that can be likened to a hardening of a server, meaning you can standardize and create a set of checks that are rolled out with every account or instance that you publish to the cloud. This way, you can create an infrastructure security baseline or well-architected framework baseline for every account that's created within your environment. Here, you can activate a specific set of rules and tie those rules to every single instance that's created in your DevOps process. Rules are able to be applied, modified, added, or deleted by a simple click and searching of those rules within the environment. Let's take a look at the template scanner piece. Returning back to the main dashboard, select the template scanner bar located at the top of the screen. Here you're able to upload a CloudFormation template and have it run against the same bot that performs the checks in your production environment. This is best demonstrated via our wiki to showcase where and how the template scanner fits into the build process that's tied to your agile development or CI/CD pipeline. Here we see the template scanner shifts left and gets closer to the build process. Note that the results of the template scanner tie and return very similarly to the way in which the results are displayed within the Cloud One Conformity application. Therefore, you will be more familiar with the results and the findings. The idea here is to improve the templates that are being developed in your environment, such that the templates themselves are more secure, compliant, and tied back to the well-architected framework. Let's take a look at some of the integration. Click on the Settings button of a particular account and go to the Communication Settings. Here, select the Update Communication Settings button, and you will see a set of integrations that are available to fit in with your development process. If you use Jira, you can integrate with the Jira instance and tie your remediation and findings to the tickets that are developed within Jira. The same goes for ServiceNow as well as Slack. These integrations are only needing to be configured once and provide instant value by fitting into your existing development process, not requiring any additional screens to log into or any additional work that's tied with checking the results within the Conformity dashboard. Here we are on the Conformity product detail page. Conformity is found in AWS Marketplace Digital Catalog. What you are seeing is a sampling of Trend Micro's solution found in AWS Marketplace. As you can see, the Conformity product detail page in AWS Marketplace allows you to see an overview of the solution, along with pricing and usage information, support information, and a listing of any reviews on the solution in AWS Marketplace. AWS Marketplace helps customers move to the cloud quickly and cost-effectively by allowing them to find software that runs on AWS from a breadth of categories in AWS Marketplace, test software quickly to validate effectiveness before purchasing, buy through flexible pricing options, and deploy with a variety of delivery methods. And please remember, Conformity is typically procured through Marketplace via a private offer. Contact Trend Micro by filling out the form on this landing page. Thank you for watching this preview of Conformity, found in AWS Marketplace. We invite you to explore this solution and many more in AWS Marketplace.